Okay, in this short video I'm going to illustrate how to make a fiberglass part, a single fiberglass part from a cardboard plug or mold. In this case, the part is right here and it ends here. So I made this part out of cardboard real accurately this time. I made one earlier that was not as accurate and I wasn't happy with it. So I took my time and I filled all these corners here with a thin bead of silicone to give me a nice rounded edge. So when the part, I'm going to fiberglass all the way over here, and when the part is done I'll trim it back around this fillet radius here, so I'll have a nice fillet edge around here. It'll look a lot nicer. But this is pretty much the first step, making that cardboard plug that's going to look exactly like the finished part. And now what I'm going to do is paint it with I'm going to put a couple coats of water-based primer on it, so that if any of the fiberglass resin gets into the cardboard, it won't seep in and make it difficult to get that plug out of the finished part. So that's about it. So I think this one's going to look a lot better than the previous version, which I'll show you now. Okay, here's the previous fiberglass part that I made. It was a little short, so I extended it. You know, fortunately, it's about the same dimensions as the new one, but you can see the edges are much sharper on this one. Fiberglass bunched in the corners here. This hasn't been smoothed out or bondoed at all, but you can see what the finished part will look like. This is way too heavy, but it was my first attempt and I rushed it. Didn't take my time. So I learned a lot, and this one should come out much better. So now I'm going to put a couple coats of primer on this. Okay, I just put a first coat of primer on this part. It's water-based latex primer, and you can see where it's all bunched up where the silicone was, because it doesn't want to stick to the silicone, which is okay. That means that the fiberglass won't stick to it either. So what would be nice is to cover this whole thing with a very thin coat of silicone. I don't know how to do that, but if I could, that would be the ultimate mold release. So I have another trick I use, but first I'm going to let this dry and probably put one more coat on once it's dry. Doesn't look very good, but it doesn't have to look good. This whole piece, once the fiberglass part is made, this whole piece will be destroyed. So you only get one part out of it. I'm not making a mold. I'm just making one piece. Looks like there's a little spot there I could fix. So maybe I'll fill that spot there. Smooth it out. And once it's in fiberglass, I'll be able to sand it and then bondo it, prime it, and paint it. It'll look good when it's done. Just the first couple steps. Here's a couple parts that I've already already made using the outline procedure. So they're pretty rugged. You can see here I've put this flange on the bottom. So when it's painted, this is just primed. This used to be one of these. I extended it and smoothed it out a little bit. But here you can see these have had no body work done to them yet. So they're just molded parts. But I think they came out pretty good. And once I get that back piece redone, it'll look nice. But this is a quick and dirty method for making fiberglass parts that are very strong and light. Any shape you want, pretty much. Okay, I just applied the second coat of water-based primer on this plug. And you can see it's breaking up here where it contacts the silicone. That's okay. I'm not making a mold, I'm just making a one-time part, so it doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. And once I lay the fiberglass over this, let it dry, I'll pull this part right here that you see out of the fiberglass part from the inside. And there will be a single fiberglass part that I can then smooth out, prime, and paint. It's actually looking pretty good. There's a little wadded up here from the glue. Should have probably smoothed that out a little bit more. But can always smooth it out in the next step. Okay, here's the key to getting the fiberglass parts to release from this plug. There's other keys too, like draft angles and stuff like that, but like I say, this plug will be destroyed anyway, so it's really easy to just pull it right out of the fiberglass part, because you're going to destroy this cardboard plug. But anyway, I use this Scotch moving and storage tape. It's really shiny on one side and very sticky on the other. And what I do is completely cover the entire part with this Scotch moving and storage tape. Uses quite a bit of tape, but if you're accurate with your cuts and stuff, it doesn't use too much. And that really helps the fiberglass part to come off the plug. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is cover this entire thing pretty much in the moving tape. Okay, I just got this plug here wrapped with moving tape or packing tape, so it's probably looking shiny now on the camera. And this stuff really doesn't stick all that great, and I think I screwed myself a little bit by putting the silicone in the corners, because it doesn't like sticking to the silicone very well at all. But that's water under the bridge now. So next time, I'm not sure what I'll use to get those radiuses that I'm looking for. I'm really just, the reason I used the silicone was to get a radius in here. So when I cut the part out, it'll have like a right angle section to it. But anyway, on to the next step. Okay, now the process is getting a little bit messy. I've laid out all the matte pieces to cover this, and then over here is the cloth. So I'll put the mat down first, and I'll soak it with resin. And then once that's been applied, everything's kind of laid out in the right order here. Once that's been applied, then I'll go and overlay the cloth, which makes it smooth. And all in all, it'll be pretty strong and lightweight, which is kind of what I want. So I'm going to mix up some resin, and away we go. Okay, we've applied the mat pieces. So this will give it a little bit of strength. This is a pretty thin part, so there's really no structural support that's needed. So now what I'm going to do is put the mat on. I gotta move. Okay, here we are. I just applied basically the top coat of resin over this part. Here's the, of course I mixed too much, but you can see it's starting to gel up a little bit on me. I turned the air conditioning off, so probably got another 10 minutes of working time. Of course I mixed up probably double the amount I needed, but I'd rather have too much mixed up than not enough. Got a couple bubbles. There's a bubble there. I've tried to get that out many times and it hasn't gotten out for me. This is a little screwed up here. I'm gonna have to trim that. And once I get the part out, once I get the fiberglass part out, I'll be able to lay a little bit of fiberglass on the inside if I need to. Might be weak in here and here. So it's pretty thin. I mean, basically it's got one coat of matte and one coat of real fine woven. Looking pretty good. Starting to dry a little bit. So we'll see. I'm going to tap it down, I think, one more time before I go in along those edges. See if I can get those bubbles out. Otherwise, I'll have to just sand it and put a little bit of body putty. No problem. Okay, when you're working with fiberglass, use these nitrile disposable gloves. And then when you're done laying up your fiberglass, make sure that you put the unused fiberglass in a bucket and leave it in the middle of the concrete floor, just in case it overreacts and catches on fire. I've seen a lot of heat come out of these things. I mixed it properly, which is 10 drops of hardener with 1 ounce of resin. You can see it's starting to get a little gelled up here. But it's better safe than sorry. You don't want to put that anywhere, you know, over here near some wood or anything. So leave it in the middle of the concrete floor. Okay, our part has been part's been laid up, and we're going to kind of demold it. Again, the plug is on the inside, and the fiberglass was molded on the outside. It's pretty smooth. Once we get it demolded, if we can get it out in one piece, then we might reinforce it on the inside with some fiberglass. See how it fits. And I gotta clean up all this fiberglass. Vacuum it up or sweep it up. It's on the floor here. And stuff gets everywhere. Anyway, here we go. Here we are, mid-demolding. It's tough to see, but I've removed, the rigid part, and now this should fold on inside itself, and you can see it's demolding pretty well. And then once I get that done, I'll have to trim everything, which is pretty easy. I can do that with sheet metal shears or a rotary wheel. And once I do that, I'll see how thin it is. It's pretty thin, and I might put another layer or two of fiberglass on the inside. Once that's done, I'll sand it, prime it, be ready for paint. Actually, that did not take very long at all. I did a good job taping it off, and nothing really stuck, and got too screwed up. So see how smooth it is on the inside because of that tape. So the resin really kind of pulled to the inside and got very smooth. Here's the outside. So now what I need to do is trim off all this flashing around the edges. Then we'll put it over here on the motorcycle. See how it fits. It should fit like a glove, actually. And it's pretty rugged. Maybe I'll just leave it like this to save weight. Maybe I'll have to reinforce it in certain areas, but it's pretty rugged. It's almost as rugged as Lexan. Very light. Very light. So what I'm going to do now is mark this off and trim it. It's going to be a messy process. Maybe I'll be able to cut it very close with sheet metal shears because it's so thin. And then I might have to come in and either sand or cut it up to the edge. And if I need to do that, that's going to be a bit more messy. Anyway, that's where we are now. Okay, here we go for our first fitting here. It's been trimmed, but hasn't been sanded. Oh, looks a little wider than I wanted it to be. Maybe if I add some fiberglass to the inside, it's not too bad. Looks pretty good. Yeah, it's going to fit a little different, but it's kind of what it's going to look like. I like it much better than it was. It's here's the old one here. So much sharper lines. This had no flange on it. It's got a nice flange. So I haven't trimmed it yet, or I haven't sanded it back. But I think it's going to be pretty nice. It's going to move forward a little bit. And oh yeah, it's going to look real nice. I'm going to put a spoiler on the back. Come up here with a rear spoiler, kind of like this one. Gonna look nice. The back part is, the back fairing is finally not mounted, but it's in place. Unsanded and unfinished, but that's where it's going to be. Real happy with it. Fix that. So I'll have some struts going up off of this to the back and over to hold it up off the tire. I might have a couple, maybe over here, a couple of mounts here to get it off. And there's plenty of room back here, so I think I'm going to build a little platform back there. Have my radio and all that stuff back here. Probably an extra servo to pull the parachute. Other than that, getting dusty. Other than that, the bike's looking pretty good. But I'm real happy with this rear fairing. Took my time this time. Last time I just really rushed it. That's what you get. Basically a piece of crap. But it did give me the dimensions. So the length is proper. And this one's very heavy. And the surface finish is crap. This one is very light. I may reinforce it a little bit. We'll see. Maybe not. It seems pretty good. Once I sand it, I'll see if I start sanding it into the or through the cloth. Then I'll reinforce it, but basically it's looking pretty good. There's flange on there. Almost like I knew what I was doing. Got flanges on these too. Small flanges. So when it's finally painted up with a nice paint scheme, it's gonna look good. There's a seat in here. Got a small driver too, but I don't know if he's gonna fit this bike. Might need to cobble a bunch of guys together to fit this thing, because it's not to scale, right? So his arm's going to go there. Yeah, it's definitely not to scale. That's okay. We'll make ourselves a guy to fit on there. Crazy son of a bitch. He's got a 5 horsepower engine on a bike that weighs maybe 30 pounds. He's going boogie. Here we are. The bike all set up here. Got the new rear section in fiberglass. Hasn't been painted yet. I need to sand it, prime it. But I think I'm going to leave it thin like that, because it's almost like almost like I molded in a Lexan, very light. I'm going to need to fix these spots. It's okay. Sand it, and if I sand through it, I'm going to have to fix that spot, but I like the design. Haven't mounted it yet. I like the design, and once I get it sanded and primed, it's going to look like these. So I've got the flanges on here. They're not perfect, but nice thick fiberglass. They look nice. Well, is it perfect? Nope. It's a lot nicer than the first one. First one was I just didn't like it, and I really like the second one. And it's not done yet, but I expect that when I'm done, it's primed and it's painted. We have a nice paint scheme that goes from the front to the back. It's gonna look sick. Or it does look sick. All custom made. Started last winter, and it's probably gonna go at least another 4 to 6 months. I run the exhaust. I run it down there to that hole, down and out right here. That's where the exhaust is going to come out. It's going to go under the transmission and out here. That's where the full scale top fuel bikes exhaust comes from. I have the fuel all set up. I've got the fuel lines and everything that I need. It's all sitting in this box over here. So fuel's taken care of. I've got the servos and everything to run everything. I just need to do once I get this done, and then I need to, I'm going to do the controls for the gas and the brakes. I'm going to have a disc brake back here. Be a disc brake back here. And then after that, I'll have to do the exhaust, which I'll leave for last. It's going to be a pain in the ass. I'm thinking about, you know, I mean, honestly, the easiest thing to do would be to do a log and then have a single exhaust down underneath and then pop out here with 4, you know, pipes. But that's not the most efficient for the engine, so, I mean, really, I should have 2 exhaust pipes. Run all the way to the back. You know, pop out right here. They need to go right here. Pop out and then go to 4, you know, 4 exhausts. That's a goal. We'll see. Bending pipe. That small, I'm going to have to look into it, how to do that, learn it. But I've learned how to do, let's see, welding and cutting and doing Lexan, and we'll see. Fiberglass. I think I can figure out how to bend the pipe. Each pipe has to bend down, go under, and then I'll have it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have it two into one, 2-into-1. But I'll leave that to last. I mean, I could just run a pipe here and a pipe there, but that's easy to do. I'd rather have the exhaust come out here, like the real top fueler. Looks good. Looks real good. I hear my crows. My crows are probably looking for food.